What's up, everybody? I'm Michael Elkins, founder of the law firm MLE Law, and this is a very long overdue episode of State of the Firm. Now, I say long overdue because I think the last time that I did this was probably maybe 2, 3, it could be even 4 months ago. And there's been a lot that's happened in the last few months, so I don't want to take up too much of everyone's time, so we'll get right into it. The first really big thing that's been happening with myself and MLE Law is, of course, the launch of our website, www.mlelawfirm.com. Tremendously excited that this has finally hit. There was a lot of work and a lot of effort put into this. First, I have to thank everybody at CASSource. That's the group that helped put the website together. They did a great job of taking my vision and sort of bringing that to life. It was truly a collaborative effort, and these guys really get it. I mean, they understand what's happening with marketing. They understand what's happening in the modern world in the context of telling your story, providing some content in a profession that's, a little different, trying not to be run-of-the-mill. And that was sort of my vision. That's the vision for MLE Law. I mean, it's definitely a firm where we try to do things in a more modern, more efficient, more transparent way. And I think that the website really reflects that. It talks about what types of services we provide, right? We're primarily a labor and employment and business law firm. We're providing a legal experience that is price predictable, transparent, efficient, fast in some circumstances, but there's a lot more in there. My podcast, Game 7, the sports, business, and lifestyle podcast, you can get all the episodes there. My social media feeds, both LinkedIn and Instagram, are on that website as well. And I think it's just a little different. If you compare my website to, say, a lot of the other larger firms, you're just going to find a different feel, more modern, I think crisper, cleaner, and very, very direct. What we don't do on there is talk about the same thing that every other law firm talks about, right? Oh, we give great representation, plenty of client attention, and big firm work at a small firm cost. Well, that's kind of the basics, right? So we highlight the exact services that we do, specifically talking about some of our alternative fee arrangements, which I think is really important in the modern world. And we talk a lot about on the website about how the business of law is broken. So go ahead and check it out, www.mlelawfirm.com. If you have any desire to get a website done or you need your website done, go to the guys at CASSource, KAZSOURCE. These guys are amazing. So that's the first big thing that's happened. The second big thing is really more podcast related. I've had the Game 7 podcast now for just about a year, and I really secured some amazing guests recently. The big one that everyone's been talking about that I've been getting, some attention for on Twitter and some general attention was Michael Lombardi. Michael's a 3-time Super Bowl champion. He wrote a great book called Gridiron Genius, which has basically become a leadership manual for a whole host of people nationally. Michael worked for Bill Belichick, Bill Walsh, and Al Davis, to name a few. Belichick actually wrote the foreword to Michael's book, and in the book he describes Michael as one of the smartest people he's ever worked with. Michael Lombardi is a modern day thought leader. Tremendously fortunate to have him on the podcast, so you want to go to my website to check that out. You can also check out the episode or all of my episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and Stitcher, or basically wherever you get your podcasts. Coming up on my podcast from that Lombardi interview, there's been a few great opportunities. The big one is University of Arkansas basketball coach Eric Musselman, who I've connected with on Twitter. I'm going to be heading to Arkansas in about 2 weeks to Fayetteville to interview Coach Musselman, and we're going to talk a lot about his journey, which I think is fascinating. Leadership, culture. There's going to be a lot of great things. There's a lot of great things happening with the podcast. Even my dog likes the podcast. So go to www.mlelawfirm.com. You can download the episodes there. And again, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher. Other things happening at MLE Law. Generally speaking, the law firm has been doing great. We've had a few big wins. I think we highlighted some of those in the last episode of State of the Firm. There was obviously the loss that I talked about on LinkedIn. I think the biggest thing right now with the firm and with me in general is, we're pushing a lot of content, and I think we're putting out content that is different than what you're seeing from most lawyers. It's very, I hope, real and authentic, and that seems to be catching on, especially on LinkedIn. We've had a number of posts that have trended in the #law category. So for everyone on LinkedIn who's watching this video, you probably were one of the people that helped our posts to trend. So I want to thank everyone for consuming the content, and we're really excited that it's trending. It's definitely converted into some business, but we put that content out there not to convert business generally. It's really not about that. That's a great plus, and we want people to come to MLE Law for their legal experience. I think we provide a great legal experience, but it's really to let people know who I am, what the firm does, and that yes, I'm a labor and employment lawyer, that's my bread and butter, but there's really a lot more. Obviously you hear the dog, she's part of my life, podcasting, my love of sports in general, my love of the intersection between sports and business, obviously my fandom and interest in the New England Patriots, not just from a fan perspective, but from a perspective of organizations that are able to sustain excellence long term. I think that's fascinating. So there's a lot there, and I talk about this in my content, and you guys seem to like it. The modern lawyer should be so much more than a lawyer, and I think what we're putting out there on LinkedIn, I hope, is something that you guys enjoy. It seems like you are enjoying it, but that it's a little different from the run-of-the-mill sort of boring, here's a blog post about whatever the state of the law is on whatever particular issue. We put that out there too, but we do it a little differently. We're trying to do it in a more human, more authentic, more real way. I think lawyers, they tend to get very boxed into this image of, well, we're lawyers and we don't use social and we have to do things this very specific way in a box, and I just think that doesn't really make any sense. Frankly, hiring a lawyer now, I think you want to hire a person, not the attorney. And so we try to provide a lot of great content. So it seems like you guys are liking it on LinkedIn and Instagram as well. So thank you very much. Those are some of, I think, the highlights of what's been happening at the law firm. We remain relatively virtual, so still no brick and mortar, and I don't anticipate that happening anytime soon. Still, working with limited staffing, so we're able to pass those savings on to our clients. You're not paying for the crazy amount of staff and office space. So, thanks everybody for paying attention. We're gonna have these State of the Firm updates coming a lot more frequently now that everything is sort of settled. So please go to the website, www.mlelawfirm.com, check out the podcast, and we'll be back at you in a few weeks. Thanks.